24/7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on demand, sports talk for America.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Yes, sir. How you doing all today? This is your host, the Mac Man, and hopefully we'll have Big Bobby G on in a few. We'll see what happens. But whatever the case may be, listen, we're going to talk a little bit about the Giants today. We're a trivia question. We're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks, nose tackle, defensive end. In the end, what?
It's only showing your email. It's not showing the link.
Okay, I don't know what to do.
All right. Send it.
So Perry Williams is the new cornerback. Tight ends Bavaro and Mowat we have there, and we'll talk a little bit about different things, like in our trivia question. Who is the all-time leader in sacks for the Giants? And we are counting the ones before it became an official stat. We'll talk a little bit about the hockey championship, which we normally wouldn't, but we're going to because it was a big deal, and the World Baseball Classic. So those are the few things that we'll be talking about today on the show. So let's start off with the USA. We'll start there first. The USA Canada Championship, 3 fights, physical checks. Canada wins 3-1. It was in overtime, so it was a good game. But I have a feeling that this is going to be a big thing for hockey in the next, going forward, because you're getting, the best of different countries. I think Poland and Russia will join as soon as everything's done over there. So it should be very interesting to see how this develops. I think it'll be really good for hockey. The Giants' 1987 season finished 6-9. They were eliminated. It was eliminated, and they're the first defending Super Bowl champ. and missed playoffs, starting 0-5, finished 6-9. If you excuse me for a minute, I got to try and get Bobby in here. It doesn't look like I did a good job sending them out. So let's copy it. Like we're supposed to. Okay. Let's do
No, that's
Yahoo. Mail.
okay. Forward.
Sorry about this, folks. It's just part of the.
Let's see, what's your email? R.
Okay.
Oh, I got it. I got it. At cox.net.
Like I said, I'm sorry for the,
I'm trying.
the. Oh,
Okay. And it came from.
search.
Okay, I got that.
There you are. I think.
Okay, he's trying it again.
To,
On the computer too. So
Sure.
we'll see if it comes through.
um,
Okay.
boy, I'm running into all problems today. Show. And
Hold on. He's doing it on.
paste.
He's doing it now.
Okay. That looks a little better.
Okay, looking better.
And Control V. Okay, that should work this time,
It
folks.
should work. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
So it is sent. We should be good to go.
I know, don't you?
And again, thanks for staying with me. I really appreciate that. Going live sometimes we have problems, and especially our Roku channel is going through some
Any luck?
things now where they've got to change its channel. So anyway, let's continue on here.
He's got it. Okay.
Okay. So as I was saying, the New York Giants 1987 season finished 6-9. They were eliminated, the 6th team in NFL history to enter a season as a defending Super Bowl champ. They missed playoff start of the next season. 0-5, finished at 6-9. And if I'm not mistaken, and Bob, you'll be here in a minute to tell me, I think this was a scrimmage. I mean, strikes shortened season. So, and yes, here is Bobby Gigi now. Big Bobby G.
Hey.
And, hey, glad to have you aboard, man. That was rough. That was a rough one, man.
That's awesome.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad you're happy with all that. But of course, let me start off. The trivia question I'm going to give you is who is the all-time leader in sacks for the New York Giants? And we are counting the ones before it became an official stat. So to let you know, that's how that's going to be done. So we'll end it there.
I think that's too easy of a question, I think.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see at the end of the show. Calm down, Bobby. Take it easy.
Easy.
Take it easy. So the 1987 season with the Giants, they finished at 6-9. They were eliminated, only the 6th team in NFL history to enter a season as a defending Super Bowl champ and missed the playoffs. They started the season 0-5, finished at 6-9. And if I'm not mistaken, Bobby, that was a strike season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so they missed one game. So 15 games were actually played. The Giants missed the Miami Dolphin game that particular year. Started off rough, as you just mentioned, 0-5. Kind of rebounded after that strike. Their own 5. Then they kind of rebounded after that 0-5 start to pick up a lot of wins and make a push for the playoffs. But it's funny because if you look at that team, and I was kind of going through that roster and comparing it to the 86 roster, it's pretty much identical team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you look at the Pro Bowlers from from '86 and '87, and it's the same players, it's the same nucleus. So to really fall down like they did was really strange to me, because the following year the Giants would end up losing both their tackles. Right. Nelson would move on. I believe was there a cancer problem with Nelson at the time? He had some illness.
I think
that
so.
He was dealing with.
I think.
And the other tackle, oh my God, Benson would also move on, and so the Giants would kind of come into the to the '88 season with a kind of a new look, which we'll talk about next week. But I think that was the biggest change. What was strange to me is you had the same defensive. If you go by the philosophy of a football team, building from the inside out, the Giants really had the nucleus of that inside out type of diagram that you want to have, or blueprint if you want to have for a successful football team. And for whatever reason, the ball didn't bounce right. They didn't. It was a drop pass here. It was a fumble there. It was a couple missed tackles, and all of a sudden you wake up, and 5 weeks later you don't have a football win. So it was a funny season. That they would and they would rebound obviously and go back to the playoffs, and a few years later win another Super Bowl. But it was an odd season, and I remember thinking to myself watching that season, like, what the heck happened? How did the wheels come off this wagon so bad, so fast? Because they were a playoff team for years, 3-4 years in a row, getting to that point. They opened up against the Bears, which is a tough draw, because the Bears were still a good football team. They still had a good nucleus that year too, and they opened up against the Bears, and it was that game was almost an encapsule of the season, because the first half the Giants really played a really good football game, and in the second half the Bears just pinned their ears back and just handed it to them. Yeah, and that was kind of how that season went for the Giants. In that one game, if you go back and watch that game, you can actually watch the 87 season was encapsulated in the opening game of the 87 season.
Yeah, you're right. So in the 1987 draft, we drafted rookie Mark Ingram, Steve Baker, offensive tackle, Doug Riesenberg.
Right.
But we had the same coaching staff for the most part.
Yes.
And that was what was really weird about it. I mean, you still got Bill Parcells, you still got Bill Belichick. I think Ron and Earhart was still there.
He was.
So that's the biggest
it was a head scratcher. It's funny, you mentioned someone who if it wasn't for injuries, and we were just talking about the Giants, and we had a couple tackles that we had to retire. And Doug Riesenberg is a 6th round draft pick that year. The Giants happen to have 2 6th-round draft picks that year, and he's one of them. And I think, looking back, I think someone like George Young thought that tackle, we're going to build our team, which they did for a while. I'm going to build my team around that offensive tackle right there. And he was one of the guys who came in, started as a rookie, played in the 1990 Super Bowl, was kind of was one of the building blocks of that offensive line that would then take off after that season. Unfortunately for Riesenberg, injuries to his knees really crippled his career. Because I really thought of everyone drafted, and you mentioned Ingram, Adrian White was also a defensive back that was drafted that year. Odessa Turner was drafted that year. Stephen Baker was. So in the first 5 rounds, the Giants selected 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds, which, showed you where they thought that was their weakness coming out of the 87 season. I'm sorry, that they thought that they needed to build on the 86 season to help propel them maybe to another Super Bowl run. Didn't work out that way, but there was some good players there, not great players. I mean, Odessa Turner was a good wide receiver. He was big, tall, fast. He can get down the field. Adrian White was a good defensive back, not great defensive back, but a good defensive back. Mark Ingram, I think he was a very good draft pick.
Yeah.
He made one of the probably top 5 New York Giants plays ever in a Super Bowl.
I agree.
So, I mean, when he was it was 4th down and he's trapped. And he made 3-4 people miss him. 3 Bills defensive players miss him to get our 1st down.
Yeah.
That really kept a drive alive for us a few years down the road. But really the best of the bunch would have been probably Rosenberg, I think. When you look at him and you look at a Jumbo Elliott, all of a sudden, coming in the next year, all of a sudden the Giants now had their bookends back. And you had Billy Ard still,
right.
And you had Bart Oates still, and you had the other guard. Oh, my goodness gracious, name's escaping me now. But they had a really
Billy
good
Ard?
Billy Ard, Bart Oates, and who am I missing? I can't think of the other guard.
Me either.
Oh gosh, I am to the tip of my tongue. I'll probably think of him in a minute. But anyways, that what the Giants did was really great over the next couple of years. They actually replenished an offensive line, so they had the 1990 Super Bowl push because of that offensive line. And,
so at quarterbacks, you had Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, and Jeff Rutledge. I guess they were on the team at the same time. I guess Simms was the starter. Of course, Jeff Hostetler in the Super Bowl had a hell of a game. So I think that's how that went.
It's funny when you think about, and I always like to incorporate what's happening now with the Giants, and maybe even when Eli Manning was there. As good as Phil Simms was, George Young was smart enough to know that we still needed to replenish a quarterback along the line here. And he always kind of, Russ Hauser was a 3rd-round draft pick. I understand all that. But, I think the great teams, the Dallas Cowboys of the day, and, all those teams always seem to take like a Jim Zorn, somebody who they can wait in the wings in case something happened. And I really think the Giants kind of got away from doing that. And they really got away from doing it for a lot of years, where George Young – Cowboys tried to, whether it was a Jeff Rutledge, coming in from free agency or, Jeff Hostetler being drafted. And I know the Dave Brown thing, we talked about that. That didn't work out. Years later, that's going to happen too. But George Young always tried to take a swing at a quarterback, even though he might have already had a quarterback in place. Where I think sometimes a lot of teams, even today, don't do that. I remember the great Gil Brandt said, I want to draft a quarterback every year. Of course, they had 12 or 13 rounds then. Right. But, he always said, I want to draft a quarterback every single year because I want to take a bite of that apple to see what I can find.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've said that to Jack before. I mean, if you don't do something like that, you're held over a barrel if you don't get a backup for Jordan Love or somebody like that. I mean, what other options do you have? So you've got to draft a rookie quarterback every year.
I mean, Green Bay did a great job with it. I mean, Brett Favre. We're gonna take Rodgers, and Rodgers. I'm gonna take Love. I mean, that's how you keep your team playing at a high level.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I agree. So the 2 tight ends that year were Mark Bavaro and Zeke Mowat.
Very good.
Zeke Mowat was underrated.
I agree.
I think he was a good blocker. I think he had good hands. Mark Bavaro was, of course, the big guy everybody loved. But again, he was an outstanding tight end to me.
Bavaro, another person, another player, probably a Hall of Famer if his knees don't give out on him. I mean, there was a time in his Giants career. And, I'm sure it's a 90 season, and we're going to talk about that in a few weeks. But, he didn't practice all week. They were just, okay, Mark, just keep yourself in shape, keep yourself walk. He couldn't practice. That's how hurt he was during the week. And he'd show up every Sunday and still play. And he was – before there was – I always say this to everybody, especially my New England fans up here. before there was a Gronkowski, there was a guy named Bavaro. And he was kind of that same mold of a Gronkowski, but Gronkowski had a longer career due to not keeping himself healthy. Sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's whatever you do in the off season. But before there was a Gronkowski, and if anybody who wants to look up Bavaro, who has not seen him play, one of my all-time favorite Giants ever.
Almost impossible to bring him down. Almost impossible. So, let's see. Taylor was the only Pro Bowler that year. And, of course, we already said the two rookie wide receivers were Baker and Ingram. So let's talk a little bit about the Giants and a possible trade coming up. There's a rumor going around that Matt Stafford might be going to the Giants.
Right. So there's no way in God's green earth do I give the Rams the third overall pick for Stafford. What is he, 37, 38 years old? He just turned 37 years old, I think. He just turned it. And there's just no way the Giants, unless they've just lost their minds. And I hope they haven't lost their minds. But I just can't see. Now you want to take a fourth. We got a couple fourth rounders. I'll maybe throw you a fourth round pick, but they're probably not going to take that. The problem with Stafford too is he wants a raise. So what do you pay Matt? So what do you pay him for? We're and now I know the Giants have some decent cap space, but where do you? He's going to want much more money than we can afford to allocate to a 37-year-old quarterback. And we're in a let's call it what it is. We're in a full-fledged rebuild right now.
Well, I mean, there are older quarterbacks that have played well in their career, Bobby.
I agree.
I mean, if you look at in spot places, right? I mean, the quarterback for the Raiders, Jim Plunkett. So I'm not saying that, that Stafford is going to be, I'm not saying they're as good as Stafford.
Right.
But, I mean, I agree with you, though. I'm not giving them a third round draft pick. Not first round draft pick for Matt Stafford. No, not at all.
I mean, I know they've given them permission to go out and talk to people. No, if you're Matt Stafford, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say the Giants want to give up the third round draft pick. And let's just say that the Rams want the third round draft pick. If you're Matt Stafford, do you want to go to the New York Giants? You're 37 years old. Wouldn't you rather go to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Wouldn't you rather go to maybe I'm not going to try to Miami Dolphins to get them over the hump? Maybe you want to go to – I'm sorry.
I think I want to stay in L.A. That's where my family is. That's where that's where I'm used to being. So I really wouldn't want to go nowhere. And I don't know if the coach wants them to go either. So, I mean, this could be all just, whatever. So.
Yeah, I probably – what's going to happen is they're going to sign him back. He's going to get his money, or they're going to meet somewhere that they can feel is fair. It's a good marriage. It's a good fit for him. It's a good fit for them. They're a snowstorm away from maybe being in the Super Bowl. Let's be honest here. I mean, they played the Eagles probably the best of any team in the postseason. They happen to run into a really bad snowstorm in Philly, and Philly made a couple more plays than they did. Right. With a slick, wet ball, but they were that close to going to the Super Bowl.
And you got to consider the feelings of your wife, that you have a kid. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be in the equation too, right?
Of course, your lifestyle. You want to uproot your family. There's so many factors, but I agree with you 100%. I think that's where he belongs. That's where he'll probably end his career, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't sign there.
Yeah, me too. So let's do something we don't normally talk about hockey on this program, right? But There's been pretty exciting stuff. I mean, you got the USA, Canada played. Canada won 3-1, but it was very physical. And, more teams are probably to come into it. They had Sweden, and I'm trying to remember the other team, but I think Russia. Who?
Sweden and oh God, I would have just said was wrong. I know. Matter of fact, it was the other team was actually maybe picked to win. It was Scandinavia, wasn't it? Denmark.
I'm not sure about it. It could have been Denmark. But anyway,
I was sick all last week, so I'm going to make an excuse here for myself. So I was sick all last week, so I caught as much as I could in between sleeping.
All right. So I think in the next few years, you're going to have Poland, you're going to have Russia coming in. There's a little iffy there with Russia and, with over there with Putin and who they're fighting right now. So I don't know if that's going to happen right away or not. But eventually, I imagine it will once they get some kind of peace treaty together. A peace treaty.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
We're Indians, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna sit around a teepee and we're gonna.
Yes, yeah, we are. That's what we're gonna do.
You know what's so cool about the NHL when they do stuff like this is, because I think the NHL gets a really nice boost during the Olympics, and so if they can somehow use this type of a format, as you said, expand the country base, if you will, for more countries participating in it, because I personally love that kind of stuff. Yeah. I like watching, I love watching Olympic hockey. One of my favorite winter sports in the Olympics is winter. I love watching it. That's why I'm wearing my USA, Miracle on Ice shirt today.
Yeah,
because it was 45 years ago, 2 days ago, that they won the gold medal. But anyways, what the NHL does is they get excitement around their sport at the perfect time, because now we're getting into March. You only got another 6 weeks and their playoffs start.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're creating a buzz. And it always happens around the Olympics, and it gives them a little boost going into their playoff season. So if they can somehow do this every year, of course, the Olympics would probably would be the event that would preclude this event. But every year, every 3 to 3 years, to have this event, I think it's a slam dunk for the NHL to do something like this, to not only get the United States and Canada, where the majority of NHL teams are, not all the NHL teams are, but it gets the world excited to watch their playoffs when it comes to the spring, when it comes to April, May, and June, when they're doing their playoff hockey. And I think it's a genius idea. I thought it was great. 4 teams is not enough. And we found that out in college, when college football, when they did their playoffs, when they expanded to 8 this year, it was a slam dunk. I see 8 countries, 10 countries in the future. It's going to be a slam dunk for the NHL too, and something I'm going to watch every year.
Well, I mean, I remember, I think you do 1980 Lake Placid, us beating Russia.
Right.
They even did a movie about it,
Right.
which was pretty good too. But I think a lot of people felt proud to be American, maybe more than ever on that day in hockey.
Yeah.
And it was something else. I mean, we ended up playing Finland, the last game, but Russia's the team that everybody was, psyched about.
Well, it's funny because, and I just talking about that year, and so the Olympic team had gone to New York City prior to the Olympics starting and played Russia there. And Russia beat them like 8-0 or 9-0, something like that. It was just a beatdown. And so for them to go from that within a few weeks to what they accomplished was just, outstanding. And I think there's a lot of country pride that goes along with it, as you just mentioned. I mean, I think that's why I like watching the Olympic hockey matches. I remember a few years back, there was a goalie from the Buffalo Sabres. His name was Miller, and the United States didn't win the gold, but this kid stood on his head, and they won the silver, the bronze. I don't even remember which one they won. And this kid stood on his head. So he goes back to the Sabres. And the Sabres are playing, I don't know who, but they're on the road. And he's not playing because he's just coming off a grueling, Olympic type of performance. And he's, the Sabres are giving him the night off. And the crowd wasn't in Buffalo, are screaming his name for him to come out on the ice.
Yeah.
And he had to go out on the ice. That's what you're talking about when you say about American pride or country pride when it comes to those types of sporting events. And that's why I think that the NHL is on to something here. I know it's only 4 teams, but as they expand that, I think it's going to be a lot of fun over the next few years.
Well, I'm going to go back to the Russians for a minute. I think they beat our professional team, too, if I'm not mistaken.
I think, professional all-star team. Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they did. So,
yes.
I mean, the odds were so much against, these young kids to win that game. I mean, I think it's just maybe they got lucky. Maybe it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I mean, if you line them up 10 times, 9 times, Russia probably beats them, right?
No, it's one of those things.
Yeah. So.
I mean, you could say that about the Giants maybe in the first game against the first Super Bowl against the Patriots. Maybe the Giants play them 10 times. Maybe the Giants win one or 2 times. Well, they got one of them, in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Patriots are that we're a very good football team.
That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love bringing everything back to the Giants and doing that.
Well, good. It's about the show is about the Giants. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. There's a World Baseball Classic, right, that they play every year before the season starts. And my co-host Jack Hirsch says that, you can get hurt doing anything, blah, blah, blah. But I say, well, why would a GM or owner in their right mind let their all-star player go out there with the opportunity of getting hurt and losing them for the year? So I don't know.
It's funny because what you're saying. So we'll go back in a time capsule here for a second, and we'll kind of reiterate, kind of build on what you're saying right here. So this particular tournament was Bud Selig's idea, right? And he's an old commissioner of baseball back in the George Steinbrenner days when the Yankees were good, and he came up with this and he pitched this to the owners. And what you just said, the biggest probably naysayer of this whole tournament was George Steinbrenner because of what you just said. Said, well, are you crazy? I'm going to put my New York Yankee players in a tournament before the season starts, and they might get hurt. Yeah. Have you lost your mind? And he kind of stuck to his guns and said, this is a great way to kind of ambassador the sports of the world. And it was. And it was a great way to get more eyeballs on Major League Baseball from other countries. And that was the idea of it. So they could build revenue and have, better TV contracts, more revenue streaming ways to make money for Major League Baseball. And really, it has done it, and it's done all the above. Right. I like these types of tournaments because they're short, and there's a little bit of pride that we were just talking about in hockey. But it's so cool to see because a lot of the countries that play in this, there's like 16 teams, 20 teams or whatever it is. A lot of the teams are from warm weather countries down the Caribbean, South America, Central America. I'm not going to name all the countries. You can figure them out. Carousel, a great Caribbean island, and but you can play baseball year round in these spots.
Right.
So what better place to build your base to watch your product than a place where you could play a sport year round? So it was almost genius in a weird way, going back in time, and where it's kind of come to right now. I guess, is it going to go to 20 teams now? I think.
I'm not sure, Bobby.
I think so.
I'm not sure.
Or 20 countries.
I might go along with it if they had it when the season was over, after the World Series, where they could if they get hurt, they can get better before the season starts. So I could understand that, but not before the season starts.
Would you think if you did it after the season, after 165 games, it's a grind. They just want to get on a plane and go plop down on a beach for about 4 weeks and just kind of just unwind and just kind of rehab and just let your body rest. And I don't know if it's I don't know if you're going to get the turnout you would get if you did it then, as opposed to doing it in March, which is when it is. So I don't know. I guess there's devil's advocate to both ways.
Yeah.
When you look at it that way, it might almost become. And I'm not gonna. If it was in the fall, I almost see it becoming kind of a minor league type of. Taking the best minor league players, putting them together, almost an all-star, and way to maybe get them to the majors. That'll look at them with international competition. So I mean, if I was an owner, that's what I'd want to do. If it was at the end of the year, but that's just the thought I had. Yeah,
Jack doesn't agree with you at all. He's like that takes away from the whole World Baseball Classic if you're going to put your basically your second stringers in there. So.
And I think if we did it, it's, and I agree, but I mean, if it was at the end of the year, my guys are going to want to go decompress, get out, get away from the game, because spring training is only a few months away anyways.
Yeah.
It'd be tough.
So I didn't send this to you, but this has kind of made me think about the NBA a little bit, because the NBA commissioner, David Stern, loves tournaments.
Yeah, he does.
He has the play-in tournament. He has this tournament. He has that tournament. And really, it does nothing for the game at all. In fact, the players don't even look like they want to be there when he's doing it. It's boring, So if you were going to talk to the commissioner, what would you say to him, Bobby? Enough of the tournaments?
Depends. It depends really on what. So tournaments are good, and I mentioned about maybe a minor league type of thing set up, and I know they have the summer leagues and they have the leagues, and so they kind of do that anyways. I'm all for like building a team that's going to be competing every day. That's going to be giving me a chance to win a championship every day. That's going to be something I can show the fans. Give to the fans, sell to the fans that we're going to be relevant. We're going to be there. So I'm more of taking the younger kids, as you just mentioned, and maybe doing those types of tournaments. I'm not sure I want to do tournaments with my guys who are playing every night. They're playing 80 games plus the playoffs. It's a grind, and God bless them when they go to the the Olympics. We talk about that every 4 years, and that's a grind. And then they go, and then they go back to the respective teams and go on with the season. So I'm not when it comes to professional basketball, maybe not so much a big tournament guy.
I mean, they did that at one time in the Olympics. They did send, I think they got the bronze medal. They did send the college all-stars over there.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
So did
I liked it. Yeah. And everybody's like, no, that's they're all
We're not the
pros.
best players.
There's all pros over there, and
Why we have to win the gold?
we got to win the gold because we're the best, and yet we almost got beat, or we did get beat by a couple teams a couple years ago. But anyway, I liked it, and it sounds like you liked it. I just don't know why the public doesn't like it.
Yeah, I again, I'm all for country pride, and I love watching those short type of window things, and I think we're talking about the baseball classic, right? That just the viewership is just not there.
Yeah, the MLB and ESPN, ESPN canceled their contract.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the viewership's not there. I don't know why, because we were talking about it. We've been talking about it for the last 20 minutes now about, country pride, and it's kind of like watching an Olympic event, I think, and there's nothing more fun than watching a competitive Olympic event when you're competing in a major sport against another country. That's what I feel. That's how I feel, anyways.
Bob, I think it might be because of the rule changes too, right? I mean, ghost runner on second, time clock on the hitter, time clock on the pitcher.
That's supposed to entice people to watch it, though. That's supposed to speed the game up. That's supposed to make people say, "Wow, I want to watch this now."
You would think so, right?
Yeah, I know. You would think so.
Yes, I mean, it does speed the. I mean, to me, I used to like baseball. It's supposed to be all day. You're supposed to go there. Have a hot dog with your kid. Spend some time with your dad or whatever, and have a good time. But I guess people want to get it going.
No, I know. It's I'm a big golfer, and I always say to you, if golf was invented today, it'd probably be 14 holes, because 18 holes is just too long, because it's you lose your chain of, you lose your attention span after that. You watch it on TV, it can't be more than 3 hours. So
yeah, that brings up something to me. Tiger Woods and a few other guys are going to be playing video golf, and I guess people they expect people to watch this. I don't know about you, but I mean, you got carts. You could drive around a course now, and you look shocked anyway.
So wait a minute. So I didn't hear this. So they're gonna play a video game. Tiger Woods gonna play against other people or professional golfers, and they're gonna want people to watch. I mean, John Madden does that tournament, that the football game. They have it on ESPN.
They're actually gonna stand there, put it on a tee. There's a video screen.
Okay, virtual golf. Yes. Virtual.
Yes.
I've actually played that. It's actually fun, but I don't think I want to watch people play it.
No, I mean, I don't care how great Tiger Woods is. I'm not spending time on my busy day watching Tiger.
No, I'm not watching. No. I don't watch John Madden. I don't watch kids play against each other in John Madden football either on TV. No. I guess some people do. I guess that's some people's cup of tea. I guess it's their sporting event for them. But no, I mean, virtual golf is fun if you're playing it. But I don't think I want to. If I went with my stepkids to play virtual golf, which we've done in the past, I'm not going to go there and watch them play.
Right.
That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Why
would I do that for?
Not at all, Bobby. I mean, that's just nuts.
That's very interesting, though. That's okay.
Maybe
one guy was in a tournament. I don't know. Right? He hasn't won a tournament.
One guy said in the comments, I said, "Who's going to watch this?" He said, "You'd be surprised." So,
no, I'm sure it's Tiger Woods. So
yeah,
you see how far he can hit a virtual golf ball. I mean, I don't know. Give me another beer. I mean, watch Tiger again. Man.
Yeah, there you go. Just sit up at the bar. And,
sit around and.
Yeah, that's what we haven't talked about T. Higgins. He's he might get a franchise tag. Some people or writers are saying he won't. He's going to push on. And there are a lot of teams that would pick up T. Higgins too, Bobby.
So the Giants have about roughly $50 million in cap space. So they can, so for T. Higgins, it's going to be a lot of money. So let's play devil. Let's say the Giants want T. Higgins. And I don't know exactly what it's going to cost, but that doesn't matter. But it's gonna. I got $50 million. I need. If I'm Joe Shane, I need. I'd love to have a pairing for neighbors. Oh, absolutely, it'd be nice. T. Higgins would be an awesome player to have. I think he'll probably cost upwards of, and I'm going to make a guess, 4 years, between 90, 95 million, 4 years. That's very rich. I don't know if he'll push the 100 million, but he'll go 80, 90 million. I'm guessing that's a lot of money to pay for a player to put on the other side of years.
I agree.
If the Giants wanted to do that, believe it or not, they probably could. They could take 3 players if they wanted to, and I'm not a cap guy. I don't know the numbers, but they could take Burns and they could redo his contract, push some money forward. They could take Thomas, which would be more iffy because he's injury prone if they wanted to, push some money forward, and they could take Dexy and push some money forward. So there's always a risk in doing that. But here's the thing. And I'm doing this all around T. Higgins. I want T. Higgins on my team.
Right.
And I know that over the next 3 or 4 years, so I got to do a 4-year contract. I'm just making up numbers, $90 million, 4 years, $90 million. So I need to push some of that money because I know the cap's going to go up. So the Giants could probably, from that $50 million, I've just roughly freed up some more money, so I'll have anywhere between 72 and 85 million from the monies I just freed up because I just extended these guys. So the smart teams, and we talked about, the Eagles in the past, and so the smart teams, and the Giants aren't one of them, but the smart teams are taking money and they're pushing it into the future. Where years ago that was a no-no. No, you can't do that because we're going to have to pay the piper in 3 or 4 years now. The Eagles do it all the time, and they're good at it because every year the cap goes up.
Right.
And they're saying, Matt, over the next 3 or 4 years, that cap is going to explode. It's going to go so high. And the Giants better start working with that chain of thought because they're only one of 2 teams, only 2 teams in the NFL have zero money pushed forward, and we're one of them. Everybody else does. And you know the number 1 team that has the most money pushed forward is your Super Bowl champion. So there's a reason for that because he knows, their GM knows that cap's going up every single year, and it's going to explode in 4 years. So Joe better get on board this offseason. And if he wants a T. Higgins or one of those cream of the crop, free agents, he better understand about pushing money forward because he's going to have plenty of money 3 or 4 years from now. When the piper needs to be paid, he'll have the money to do it. Everyone else is doing it. We're not. So right now we're behind the 8 ball.
Gotcha. I don't know if you heard about this, but San Francisco's linebacker Devonor Campbell quit on his team, was suspended, saying, "I know the truth and I don't care to clear anything up. Kind of sounds like a problem with him in the front office, Bobby.
Would you take someone talented player? Would you take someone like that on your team that quit on your team? Talented player. I mean, I don't know what's going on with San Francisco. I have no idea what their front office and what Lynch does over there is his thing, and I don't know what he's doing over there. They're doing something right. They're another team, second team. We just talked about pushing money. They're number 2 in the NFL. That's beside the point. So I don't know what they're doing over there. Shenanigans they may be playing, but you got a disgruntled, very talented defensive player. Would he quit on his team? Would you take him on your team?
It depends on the situation. If he told me that him and Lynch, Lynch is former football player. Don't back down either. If he said him and Lynch, that was the reason, I might take a chance on him.
Yeah. I mean, I think Lynch is kind of a clown anyways, but that's beside the point. He traded up for a quarterback that he never should have traded up for. He got so lucky that Brock Purdy became Brock Purdy, because if Brock Purdy doesn't become Brock Purdy, Mr. Lynch is probably not the GM of the San Francisco 49ers anymore. I
agree with that. Let's see, anything else? Well, let's talk about our guy, Aziz Ahulari, the Giants outside linebacker. He had 3 sacks in one game. I remember that. Yeah. He's on the free agent list. Do you keep him or trade him, Bob?
Well, so I'm a fan of his. Yeah. He's had an injury bug issue, which has kind of derailed his growth in the NFL, and where he is today is where he maybe could be or could have been. He had a first round grade on him coming out of college. The Giants got him the top of the second round. He dropped to the second round. I thought that was a steal of time. For whatever reason, he's not been able to stay on the field. Now, if the Giants have their eye on which I don't think that he's going to be there for him, but the Giants have their eye on a Carter, I'd let him go. I'd let him walk. But he's a very good football player, and he could be a very good bookend to Burns as pass rushers. And he's, so you've got Thibodeau, you've got Aziz, and you've got Burns. That's not terrible. So, but I would try to sign him at a reasonable contract. I wouldn't overpay for him. I would do a semi, player-friendly type of deal. Right. I don't think he'll sign for a team-friendly deal, so you're going to have to meet him someplace. I think he's a good ball player. He's a young ball player. If he can stay healthy, I think he'd be a very good football player. And he might go someplace, stay healthy, and light it up.
Yeah.
That's.
So Thibodeau you brought up. Thibodeau, I know he had I think it was a broken arm last year.
Yep.
He played with. Didn't do too well against the pass. Played pretty good against the run. He's going to want to get paid. I think his contract's up this year, if I'm not mistaken.
5th-year options this year.
Okay, it's 5th-year option.
So Thibodeau's is up, as is right tackle. Our right tackle. He's so great, I forget his name.
Number 90?
No, our right tackle.
Oh.
Neal.
Okay, Neal, yeah.
So their 5th-year options are up this year. They both came out, both top 10 players drafted. So they're 5th-year options. The Giants, if they don't pick it up, this will be their last year at the Giants.
Okay.
So the question is, do I think the Giants will pick up Thibodeau's 5th-year option? The answer is no.
Okay. All right. I didn't think so either. I mean, he has one great game and then he falls off for 4 games. And
correct.
You don't know where he goes. So, okay. So let's get to our trivia question and the answer from Big Bobby G, since he thinks this is an easy one. So we'll see what he thinks. So let's see. Where are we at here? Okay. Who is the leader in sacks for the New York Giants? And we are counting the ones before it came an official stat, Bobby.
Okay. Lawrence Taylor?
Nope. Michael Strahan.
I was going to say him too. I knew it was one of the two. I knew it was one of those two guys. I did know it was one of those two guys.
Yeah.
I did know it was one of those two
I
guys.
threw a curveball.
You know what you messed me up with? When you said we're going to count them when they weren't being counted.
Right.
So when Lawrence first came into the league, and people may not know that, is sacks were not counted.
Right.
I think he kind of made people do that because he became such a big pivotal play in a football game. He sacked the quarterback so much and was so disruptive that they said we got to start counting this as a statistic because this guy's willing the Giants to win all by himself. And I thought
Bobby,
when you said that, I said, "Oh, this is easy." Now, Lawrence
Bobby, I got you again, Bobby. I got you again.
Damn it.
All right, folks, that's the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in. The views and hopefully possible shares later. We had fun. We did cover some things we didn't cover before or we haven't covered before on the show. Tried to keep it all football and all Giants for you. So anyway, have a great day. See you next week on the same Giants channel and same Giants time. Have a good one, folks.